Welcome to Heal the World Show podcast, brought to you by the Healing Institute. I'm Camelia Parham, and I'm the founder of the Healing Institute. We are an online worldwide hub of holistic practitioners, and we are out to heal the world. We're out to help and give people joy, give people hope that there are ways to be well and stay well on their health journey, because we know we're all on a health journey. So let's make it a proactive one, not a reactive one. And, I've been studying holistic wellness and health myself personally for over 30 years. And so I know that it works. And that's why we want to educate people. That's why I called the Healing Institute an institute, because I'm really passionate about education and letting people know all the different ways of holistic way that they can be well. Now, you might wonder why this is important to me. And the reason it is because we did have a tragedy in our family a number of years ago. My mom passed away at a very young age. She was only 61. And it was due to a complication with a medication she'd been on for a long time that compromised her kidneys. And so at the time, it was right before Christmas. And I was 5 months pregnant with my son. And the reason I say this is a tragedy is because not only is it because she died so young, but also my children didn't get to meet their grandmother. And I really don't want that to happen for other families. So that is my why. That's why I created the Healing Institute. That's why I'm passionate about education and around holistic health and healing. And so each week I invite a guest co-host to come and talk and have a conversation with me about their area of expertise. And I'm so delighted today to have Brittany Cano with us. Brittany's a holistic nurse and a coach. And so we're going to have a conversation around how that is transforming our lives and the lives of the people that we know. I've been doing this podcast now for about a year and a half. So this is our 88th episode, which is really cool. And so, yeah, Brittany, welcome. I'm just delighted to have you here today.
Melia, thanks for having me. Hello, everybody listening. Good to be here.
So tell us a little bit about your journey. Now, you are a registered nurse, and then at some point you decided to go more into holistic health and coaching.
I've been a nurse for about 20 years, and a few years into my career, I almost just could see the trajectory that I wasn't going to want to work in a hospital setting forever. And around that same time, I was really going through my own holistic transformation. Prior to that really spiritual awakening, I was dealing with gastritis all the time. I had a lot of stomach issues. I was drinking a lot, partying a lot, carrying a lot of shame, really just not doing well with my romantic relationships. And I knew that if I kept that up, it wasn't going to end well,
It
right?
wasn't going to end well.
It
Yeah.
was not going to end well. I could look around and see, unfortunately, what was going on with my mom, other people, in my community, and I knew that I needed to make some changes. Unfortunately, I did, and when I started making those changes, I started noticing how many people were in the hospital, even in ICU, from preventable diseases.
Mhm.
And I really knew that I needed to get on the other side of that. Like you
Well,
mentioned something about being proactive instead of
yeah.
reactive. I wanted
Well,
to
good
help
for
people be
you for being
proactive.
aware, because oftentimes awareness is like our first step, right? To realize that we're not in the health situation we want to be, whether it's emotional, mental, physical, or spiritual. And so we need to do something different. And
And I
so,
think that was like I was aware of it for a while, but I think the pain or the suffering wasn't loud enough. And I
mhm.
also did not know how to make changes. I just would find myself on Monday, I'm going to start fill in the blank, whatever healthy habit, getting rid of a bad habit. And I just couldn't stick with anything. I had no consistency. And of course, that made me feel worse about myself. And then I discovered coaching. I started working with a coach. I really got connected into a community, which prior to that, my community was my girlfriends from work and we'd go out, but we didn't really go too deep and vulnerable
Right.
and, you know, talk about real things that were going on with
What was
us.
really happening.
Exactly, exactly. It was all fun and laughs, and then we'd all go our separate ways, probably nursing our hangovers. And then getting on with life, but I knew that I needed support. And I was so grateful when I heard from other people that they had stories too that they weren't so happy about and that they wanted to make change. It was really just the catalyst for my life to do a full 360. My life changed drastically from that point on.
So did you actually search for a coach or did someone pop into your life? Because
Somebody
often that
pop into
happens.
my life. My friend had done this transformational training. He had gone through it and he was already very successful, awesome guy. And he started asking me, we'd talk in the mornings on my drive home from work. I work night shift. And he'd ask me, Britt, what do you want with your life? No, really, what do you want with your life? And if nobody ever asks you that, we don't always take time to really think about
Yeah,
what do I
we don't
really
really
want for
delve
my
in
future?
inside to find out what it is that we really want.
Yeah, we go to work, we take care of our families, that's that. And so I really started thinking, what do I want? And he would, paint the picture of what's possible. And so from there, I ended up joining him in the same program. And like I said, it just changed everything for me in a really positive way and really inspired me that that's my life's work. Anybody who really wants to create that positive change in their health, I would love to be support for them.
I love that. I love that you said that, your friend and talk to you about the possibility that could be. Because I think that's oftentimes something we don't, if it doesn't come into our realm of who we are, we're not having those conversations with people. We don't understand the possibility that we could be, we could be doing something different. That's
Right. Even after that, I started working with a business coach at the time, and I was still working in the hospital. And I remember her telling me or asking me, what do you want, with your business? And I was like, by the time I'm 40, I want to be making as much as I am as a nurse. And she's like, hold on. This was back in 2017. You don't have to wait that long. I'm like, no, I think it's going to take that long. And then fast forward, I've been making way more than I did as a hospital nurse for a long time because of that
yeah.
possibility conversation and really opening up my awareness and connections and the ability to make that a reality.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I love that. It's so very important for us to have those kind of mentors that show up. I was fortunate that when I was starting to look, I was introduced to I called her my energy coach or my energy teacher. And, she was the one that gave me the language around vibration and energy and movement and I actually studied with her over the years for 8 years because I was just like a sponge. I was just absorbing it all because it was giving me, as I said, the language so that I could then explain how I felt. I had a lot of I think intuition, but I didn't even know that word. So I couldn't really explain to people what was going on with me. And
That's where I was too. It was also foreign. I didn't even know this world existed in any way, shape, or form. I was, oh, what's that? Breath work? Energy work? Intuition? Meditation?
Yes, exactly. So once we get exposed to that area, then I was just, as I said, like a sponge, like I could not get enough. If you could see my bookcase behind me, it's full of all of I guess what we would call self-help books. But I always love to read and I love to learn. So any concept that was coming about vibration and about positive thinking and the law of attraction, I was just like wanting to know more and more and more about that. So I want to just acknowledge we have one of our practitioners from the Healing Institute kind of in the green room today, listening in. And so I just want to welcome Marie Piplovic. Marie is a conscious breathing facilitator. She's also a coach and helps women in midlife who have gone through burnout and so are maybe changing careers or realizing that career they're in is not it's not that's not their happy place anymore. So Marie has a question for you, Brittany. Is your coaching business full-time or part-time?
It's full time now, as of 3 years full time this month after a trip to India that really just solidified my values and what was most important to me. And I decided this really is, I knew, since I got into it, that this is really my life's purpose and work. And so now I do the holistic wellness coaching full time.
Well,
And I have to say, I
congratulations.
love it. I love it. Work with so many amazing people, and it's so great to serve in this way. And I do see that people are becoming more and more receptive and looking to deepen their healing journey. I think we've found that sometimes the traditional medical model is not taking our health where we need it to want it to go. And so I think that that's really opened up people's awareness to trying a more holistic approach.
Well, and I agree with you 100%. And also, we do have more information available. When I was doing my searching, it was over 20 years ago. So, that we didn't, I think we barely had the internet. So, it wasn't, there's just so much more information now that you can, other than books. I know I had this fabulous bookstore that I loved. It was kind of a metaphysical bookstore. I would just buy book after book after book there because I would hear about an author or hear about a certain book. And so I was able to gain some knowledge that way. But such a difference now to have so so many other opportunities that are available, that when you're ready to do your search and you're ready to become educated around it. And I think you mentioned earlier that, sometimes you really have to have that pain point before you're ready to take that leap and find out what it is that you need for your health and your healing.
Yeah, I find
So
that to be a common thing that brings people into my circle, like the clients that I work with. They've reached a point either in their health, their relationships, or the intuition is telling them something's not right here. I'm
something's
just
not
I'm
right
just
here.
not
Yeah.
happy. Everything looks good on paper, but on the outside it's not, or everything looks good on paper, but on the inside I'm not
Yes.
fulfilled.
Yeah, that was me. Definitely. So
Me
Marie
too.
also said, do you actually work a 40-hour week, or do you have a more flexible schedule that allows you for less hours working each week?
I definitely love that ability to work less. And I feel like work less and experience more.
Yes.
So I have a flexible schedule. I really, you know, do my best to practice what I preach. So I try to make sure I have an adequate lunch break, although it can be easy to find myself skimping on that time, making sure I have time to meditate and time to spend with my husband, my dog, exercise, all of those things. So it's flexible. I don't typically work a full 40 hours anymore. I try to stay around 30. Seems to be a sweet spot for me that feels like a really flexible, abundant, spacious schedule.
Yeah, that sounds great. And I think that's so important when we are coaching people. I'm a holistic practitioner, so when have my clients that I see and I'm working with them with body code, because that's my modality, one of them. I also have a realigning beliefs that I can take people through, and also healing past lifetime energy if people believe in that, and that's another process. So, and sometimes we mix it up and we do body code and realign beliefs, and it works. It all works together. And so I feel the way you do, that I really have to walk the talk. If I'm giving people advice and guidance about taking time in the morning to meditate, or writing in a gratitude journal, I better be doing it myself because
Yes, I'm
so
with you on that.
so important. And I the processes that I put in place, and I know Marie also has put things in place with her life too, when it comes to meditation and reading and that kind of thing, that really, it's just made such a difference in calming my autonomic nervous system, not getting triggered. There's so much, as we know, so much going on in the world right now, that it's so easy to get triggered or worried or concerned. And really, it's only ourselves that we can take care of. So That's exactly what we need to do. And putting specific things in place, like, you said you're going hiking and meditation, whatever works for you. And everybody is different. So I'm speaking to, our audience. It's just important to have that. And even if only you can hive off 5 or 10 minutes in the day, either at the beginning of the day or at the end of the day, just makes such a difference.
Yeah, that's an important point. And I think that stops people a lot of times is they think, well, if they've never meditated, I don't know how to meditate. And we might think that I need a full half hour, I need an hour. And so why even bother? But 5 minutes, 10 minutes, anything that we can do to support ourselves and make ourselves, feel more grounded, feel at peace, contributing to our health, it adds up. And so I always encourage people not to let time be a deterrent from taking care of ourselves. Just, get started, and we don't have to have the whole picture figured out.
That's so true, in everything.
Yes,
Sometimes
isn't
we think
it?
to know it all before we
I catch
actually get
myself with that
started.
too. I'm like, okay, wait, I don't have to have it all figured out. Let me just follow the breadcrumbs. It all works itself out. It always does.
And I mean, I now do a yoga meditation, which is probably lasts about 30 minutes, but I didn't start doing 30 minutes. I have a yoga meditation I do first thing in the morning. And I started, I remember when I was first learning about, how to meditate, and I took a couple of courses from a couple actually that had studied in India, and there was a process that they were teaching, and I'm like, oh my goodness, 30 minutes, that's a long time.
Forever.
So I just started, what time I could do. Sometimes it was 5 minutes, depending on my schedule that day, or 10 minutes. And then, the more you feel better when you're putting these practices into place, then they can evolve. They do evolve. And so now it's, 20 minutes, 30 minutes is very, very easy for me.
Last year we did, my husband and I, we did a Vipassana retreat. So it was a 10-day silent meditation. And I say this because if you would have asked me 10 years ago if I would ever be able to do something like that, it would have been a capital N, no way. Because I was the kid that got in trouble in school for talking too much. Always have been such a huge talker. When I first started meditating, it was so foreign. I'm like, I'm awful at this, which that's not even really a thing. I realized as I deepened my practice. So I say that because we just never know where the journey is going to lead us. And I think it's huge to find acceptance where we're at right now and really practice self-compassion where we are, because it can be easy to say, I'm not where I want to be, and feel a lot of shame around that and just kind of get stuck in that. But like you mentioned, gratitude, if we can find gratitude for where we're
Gratitude
at,
is so
it's
important.
such a rich soil to live from that place of gratitude, from that place of acceptance and compassion.
And the Dr. David R. Hawkins map of consciousness, if people have heard of that, gratitude, his map of consciousness starts with emotions like shame, which would be around 25, I think, or 50 on the uh, vibrationally, from energetically, vibrationally, and then gratitude is like way up there. It's around, it's like love and joy. It's really, really high, of these vibrations that when you're, and the law of attraction, of course, tells us whatever vibration you're giving out is the vibration you're attracting to get back, right? So when we do practice that, it's so much easier to incorporate that into our life. And also, as you mentioned, being in a silent meditation. I haven't done one of those, but I would really love to be able to do one of those. Um,
It was amazing. I really want to do it again. It's just, making 10 days.
10 days is a
My
long time,
commitment
yeah.
is a little bit of time.
Yeah.
So, but it's possible. And to me, it was so worth it. I
Mhm.
definitely plan to do another one.
Well, and once we've achieved, you know, a, a- something like that, when we have thought about doing it and then we do it, I mean, it's just so satisfying. Um, makes us feel so joyful that we were able to accomplish something that we set out to accomplish. And also, the people who might be listening who have maybe not yet embraced meditation, it changes our electronic systems. So the electronics that are in our body, it calms everything down. It really does. The nervous system that we have, I call it the autonomic nervous system, that really keeps us in joy and also keeps us grounded, is very, very important. And we have lots of things going on in our life. So I always recommend it's something to start with for sure.
Yeah, I think it's good to have practices that where we're not overstimulated, because we're receiving so much stimulation through nearly everything nowadays. So whether it's a walking meditation or gardening or listening to classical music or snuggling your dog and or your baby and sitting outside, just something where it's not so much going on, because I know so much of the time we might have a cell phone in our hand, the TV on, music playing, there's just constant stimulation. And so those practices really are so supportive for our nervous system, which is our computer system of the body and the brain. So we want to
Absolutely.
keep that functioning well.
Yeah. Yeah, so Marie's got a great question. I was just about ready to ask you. So can you share about your practice and some of the results that you've seen with your clients?
Sure. Thanks, Marie. Yeah, thanks, Vermilia. So when I work with clients, I work with them either in a retreat or workshop setting or one-on-one. So when I sit with somebody one-on-one, we go through a holistic wellness assessment and we create a plan together. So it's really specific to what they want to work on. I do tend to work a lot with people who, like I mentioned, are struggling with something health-wise.
Mhm.
Seems to be quite a bit of autoimmune conditions or chronic stress. They're in a
Yes.
state of burnout, which I know you
Which
mentioned,
also
Marie. Marie also
plays
works
havoc on
with.
your immune system when you're in stress for
It
that.
does, yeah. Or they are in a place where they just went through a divorce, or like they got some bad news in their marriage, that kind of thing. And so really the work we do together is a lot of coming home to the self, really rebuilding and renewing the relationship with the self, with ourselves. And then from that place, everything becomes easier. And we also work a lot on nervous system regulation. So I love that you talked about that, because it really is. I found this out the hard way during the pandemic. I got extremely burned out and really didn't even know, which was, an eye shocker to me, until my body started giving me a lot of
Yes.
GI symptoms.
Yeah.
And fortunately, I was able to say, hold on, what's going on here? And realized, oh, I've just been in a survival mode,
Mm.
even workaholism can be a survival mechanism and something that's
Absolutely. And
praised so
our
much.
bodies are so smart.
They're brilliant.
We need to
I know
listen to
those
them more
symptoms
often.
are, yes, those symptoms, like, we can be so annoyed with our symptoms, but really our symptoms are gifts. So when I work with clients, we really come at it from that approach, and we incorporate mindfulness. So a lot of practices of being in the present moment, welcoming in and living from a place of kindness, not judgment, compassion, lifestyle medicine, so nutrition, movement, breath work, relationships, work, all of that. The big picture, I like to think of like the legs of a chair as
Yes.
the, physical health, mental, emotional health, your relationships, your job, your hobbies, all those things, and then your spiritual life, and they all work together. So if one of those areas, if one leg of the chair is completely knocked off, we know that we'll be falling out of the
There's going to
chair. And
be,
if you think of us in the center, it's going to affect us. And so when we can really have all those legs of the chair, all those aspects of our life strong and cohesive, it really does allow people to have, greater health, greater quality of life.
is there one particular client, not mentioning their name, of course, but that you could give us a specific result from working with you?
Yeah, I had a lady who I started working with, and she was really quite a bit of PTSD from her daughter being born during COVID and all the
Mm.
stress that came from that. And the baby was sick, during that time. So as you can imagine, being locked up
Yeah.
with a crying newborn baby and not being able to really see your friends and family much. Like it was took a huge
Yeah.
toll on her. And so in our work together, really cool to see her going from having panic attacks on a really regular
Mhm.
basis to no longer having panic attacks, having these tools that she can use, working with her mind, not letting her, the mind just dictate everything, being able to say, like, okay, that's my anxiety. All right. And just really take care of herself, take her daughter places, whereas before she was just scared to take her daughter places. And now she's also able to take care of herself in a more meaningful way. When we first started working together, she wasn't really exercising, she was overweight, her relationship with her husband was struggling, and now she's active, she feels, a lot more confident, she's making a lot more mommy friends, and the marriage is doing really well too. So
Awesome.
it's been
Yeah.
awesome to be part of her
Great,
journey.
great, great results of being able to work with you. And I love the fact, because I know you're a holistic nurse, so you're looking at everything. You're not just looking at physical, you're looking at emotional, mental, spiritual. You're looking at everything that's going on with your clients.
Yeah,
Um,
and I also like to be able to help people if they do, let's say they are on 5 medicines or they are on 10 medications, to really have them understand why they're on those medicines, the side effects of those medicines, what else we can do to heal the body, as opposed
right,
to this is your life sentence here. Because there are, diagnoses that we get that we can reverse, that you don't have
absolutely.
to live with that.
And we are looking now, we now know more, we have more information about side effects of medications. That was the one thing that we didn't have with my mom. We didn't know what the side effects were, and especially of being on a medication for a very long time, what the side effects were. But now we know, now we can find out about what the side effects are, and then you can make a choice as to whether or not if you want to stay on that medication or even go on the medication. I've actually made choices not even to start a medication, because I felt strong enough within myself that I knew how to reverse what was the issue, and do it from a holistic point of view, rather than. But again, that's us educating ourselves around what's possible and what's available, and not just taking, and I always give, my advice always is to do your research, regardless of what you're being recommended to use as a medication, or anything, a practice of any kind. Do your research.
So important, right? It has to resonate for you. It has to make
Yes.
sense for you. And I think, supporting people and being empowered with whatever choice they make, because we can't just be like I was before I came on my journey, like, this is my life. This is just how it is. This is the path. As opposed to when we really wake up to say, like, oh, wait, hold on. Does this have to be my path? What else is possible? What else can I do to heal my body? Do I really need this? And sometimes the person may decide that yes, this is the best path for them. But I think being able to empower people and have people know where to get the information and to also look at it from that holistic lens is really empowering.
I love that. Yes, that absolutely so important for us to really look at what all the pieces are, because it's a puzzle oftentimes, right?
Such a
So
puzzle. Just a detective. I always say we're detectives together.
yeah, that's
I was a
great. I love
detective
that.
in the hospital for my patients in ICU, and now even my coaching clients, I'm like, we're gonna be detectives. We're gonna be curious, and we're gonna go on this journey together and find like what's gonna support you and living your best life and feeling your best again.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for your information and being my guest co-host today, Brittany.
Oh, thank
Was
you.
delighted to be able to talk to you about holistic health, for April, which is World Health Month. So this is our last Friday of April. So we're happy to be able to talk more about holistic health, and certainly the transition and transformation that we can make when we start to embrace holistic ways of being well and staying well. And so, we have a vision, have this community of holistic practitioners, that we customize whatever your issue is. We talk to you about what that is. We find out what it is, what's going on with you. And then you get all of us. That's what we love about the Healing Institute. We are a wellness community. And so you might come to one of us for one particular thing, but then we can also recommend the rest of us for you. So we really have we really want to make a difference with health in the world. We really want to give people hope that there are ways for them to be their healthiest at the time that they need it. And I believe we all need to be as healthy as possible. Because then we serve, we actually, when you're feeling well, then you really feel like you want to make a difference in the world. And we all need us all making a difference in the world for sure. So our motto here at the Healing Institute is service with love. And we have a big ask. So those of you who are listening or watching the YouTube video, please let your community know, let your family know, let your colleagues know, let your friends know that we're here and the Healing Institute is here for you. And we are available on your health journey. And again, this is delightful that you got to meet another fabulous healer, Brittany Cano. Thank you so much for being here, Brittany.
Thank you, Parmelia. Thank you for the work you're doing in the world. Can I share how to get in contact with me?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, I think you're going to share the link. So if you would like to connect, you can find me at my website. It's holisticnursecoaches.com. And I also have a freebie that I give away. It's Emotional Freedom Technique, which is a mind-body practice that really does support in regulating the nervous system. And in this video, I take you through a process that helps reduce stress and really boost your sense of well-being. So I'd love to connect with you. I always like to meet new people, expand my circle, and I'm a person that loves to connect people, just like you are, Parmelia. I know you're a connector as well, so I would love to hear from you.
And what we'll do as well in what I call the show notes, but when we're creating this, we're recording this on Zoom, but I will be creating it in a YouTube video, and then I will be sending it out later today to LinkedIn and also on our website on our Facebook page and our Instagram page. And I will make sure that I put all the connections for people to connect with you, Brittany.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. And I'll be sharing it too. So I'll be
And also
sharing
the
your
gift,
information.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you. I
Wonderful.
appreciate it.
Yes.
Thank you so much for the work you're doing in the world.
Well, thank you for being part of this amazing way that we can now heal each other and heal the world holistically. Because, this is why I believe that our medical model that we've had for the last 50 years is not necessarily working, because it was only looking at symptoms, wasn't looking at the root cause. And now people like yourself that I meet who and everyone else I'm connecting with, we're holistically, from a holistic point of view, what we're getting to is the root cause. Why are you physically having an issue, or mentally or emotionally or spiritually? Like, why is that happening? Not just on the surface what it looks like that it's happening. And I think that is what's so very important right now, for us to get to the root cause. So again, thanks again so much. All right, we're going to stop the recording, but hang on, don't go away.
Okay.